Welcome to Shaky Sports Journeys. Another boxing episode lined up for you today. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, be much appreciated. So today's guest, former British, former European, light middleweight champion and ex-world title challenger. I welcome to the podcast, Mr. Wayne Alexander. How are you, sir?
Hello, Shaky. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I've been following your posts closely. You're kept busy at home. You've got your little girl with you. I believe you're a grandfather as well these days. So busy man with the girls.
A young grandfather. I'm a young
grandfather. Very young.
Yeah. I live with my 9-year-old daughter Shania, so she kept me busy. Kept me company over the past year. And like you say, I've got a grandkid, Skylar, who's 15 months and growing very quickly. I saw her for the first time in a few months last week, and my daughter is 18. So life is okay. It could be a lot worse,
No, absolutely. You've got your health. Your kids are healthy. That's it. That's the main thing, my friend. So let's talk about the career of Wayne Alexander today. First and foremost, how did you get into boxing, mate?
Okay, I started boxing at the age of 11. I was a very hyperactive kid. I couldn't keep still. You know what I mean? My mum used to say, "You got ants in your pants." You know what I mean? I was hyperactive, always getting in trouble, getting in little scuffs at school. Always up to mischief. And I had a couple of friends who were boxing for the local club in Croydon, which is where I lived, Croydon, South London. They was boxing for a club called Croydon ABC, and they was talking about boxing one day, and I joined in the conversation. And they told me where the club was, and I went to the club one evening. And you know that saying when they say you found what you're looking for. Within half an hour of being in the gym, the smell, the atmosphere, seeing the guys in the bags, watching the sparring, I just loved it. From the first day I went in the gym, I loved it, and I knew that was what I wanted to do.
Did boxing come naturally to you?
Yeah, it did. I must admit, it did. I wasn't good at nothing else. You know what I mean? I wasn't good at school. I was always getting told off at home. You know what I mean? I wasn't good at much or anything really. You know what I mean? But when I went in the boxing gym, within a couple of weeks, I was told that I'm going to be a champion. I was looked upon as one of the best fighters in the club from the early days. So it was something that I felt comfortable doing. I felt like I was in control when I was in the boxing gym.
Did you have quite an extensive amateur career, Wayne?
I had a fairly extensive amateur career. I boxed for 10 years as an amateur, from the age of 11 until I was 22. I turned pro at 22. I had about 80 fights, winning over 60.
Wow.
So yeah, won junior national titles, senior national titles, boxed for my country. So yeah, I had a good apprenticeship in the amateurs. Boxed abroad a few times, so I had a decent amateur career.
How important do you think the amateur pedigree is when it comes to the pro ranks?
I think it's very important. I mean, that's how you learn to box. Isn't it? That's your foundation, the amateur game. You learn to box as an amateur. So I think it's good that you have a good 5-6 years as an amateur. Maybe even box abroad, and win a national title or box for your country. I believe that the fundamentals of a good pro is a good amateur. But even to this day, most professional champions were decent amateurs. You haven't got to be a brilliant amateur to be a good pro, but you need to have a sound amateur background, I believe.
When you turn pro, a question I want to ask you is, what was the week of Wayne Alexander like when it comes to training? What was your kind of diary? What would your week look like?
As a pro?
Yes.
As a pro, I turned pro with Jimmy Tibbs. And I would be at the gym Monday to Friday. I would be at the gym from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. We'd have a good warm up, a good stretch out, and then we'll start shadow boxing maybe with weights. We do probably 4 or 5 rounds shadow boxing, and then after that we do sparring. You know, I'll probably spar 6, 7 rounds. Then after sparring, I'll do bag work. Probably do about 3 rounds on the bags. Then after the bag work, we do ground work, which is like floor exercises.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sit ups, press ups. You know, all your ground stuff. Then after that, we'd stretch out. And it sounds pretty straightforward. It sounds easy, but you know, over space of an hour and a half, it's quite intense. You know, and we do that Monday to Friday. I'd run 2 days on and 1 day off. You know, probably
what kind of distances would you cover when you're running?
When I first turned pro, I was only doing 6 rounds, 4 and 6 rounds. So I'll do 2 miles. Sorry, I'll do 2 miles every other day, but at a good pace. I never liked running, so I had to force myself to run. I must admit, I didn't like running, but you know, I did it. That's the main thing. I did it. But I'd say 2 miles every other day. I started off at. Then stepped up as I got more experience and started doing more rounds. I'd step up to 3 or 4 miles.
You had kind of a split career with your trainers. So you started with Jimmy Tibbs, and then you moved on to another trainer?
Yeah, I was with Jimmy from 1995 until 2004. So a major part of my career was with Jimmy Tibbs. With Jimmy, I won the Southern Area British and European title with Jimmy Tibbs. So I got a lot to thank Jimmy Tibbs for. And the last 3 years of my career, I went with John Breen in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, where I won the. Sorry.
How was that for you?
It was a change. You know, they say a change is good as a rest. You know, I needed a change of environment, a change of scenery. You know, to rededicate myself. You know, it was a great experience to spar with different guys and just be in a different environment. You know, learning new things. You know,
so were you over in Ireland quite a lot?
The last 3 years of my career, I was there for 8 to 10 weeks for a fight. So I went there for 2 months at a time for a fight. I had 5 fights in Belfast, I had 5 fights when I was training with John Breen.
How do you like the Irish?
I like them. I get on with them there. They're good people. Yeah. I must admit, when I first went to Northern Ireland, I was a bit nervous. I was thinking about all the troubles, and you know what I mean, thinking if I'd fit in, being a black guy in Belfast. I must admit, when I was flying over Belfast City Airport, I thought, Wayne, you're not going to last long here, mate. You know, I can't see you lasting long here. That's the truth. I honestly thought that I'd be home in a couple of weeks, but within a couple of days, I was made to feel at home. I was living with a guy called Chris Hughes and his son, Mickey Hughes and his son Chris Hughes. And I was made to feel at home. You know, it was like a training camp. I met John Breen, and John Breen, you know, made me feel at home, and all the guys in the gym, you know, Eamon McGee, Jim Rock, Neil Sinclair, they made me feel at home. So I felt good. I felt great. It was a great environment, and I enjoyed it.
What were your strengths in the ring? You clearly had power. You know, I looked at your record, seen you fight before as well. 18 knockouts on your record in your pro career. So you were clearly a banger. You could hit hard. But
yeah,
you know, is that one of your main attributes? What else were your strengths in the ring?
Well, like I said, my strengths was my strength. You know, my punching power was my strength. I would say my defense was underrated. You know, I wouldn't call it a strength, but it was underrated. It was better than what people gave me credit for. But like I say, my main strength was my power punching. I could work inside very good as well. Working inside, body punching, which is not something which a lot of fighters focus on now. I was a good inside fighter. Yeah.
You like to rough people up, get inside and get to work.
Yeah, inside work. You know, is a trade which is not used a lot by fighters now. But I was a good, decent inside fighter. You know,
What about
and
your
like you said,
jab? Was your jab important to you?
my jab was deceiving. You know, it wasn't very fast, but when it landed, I was told it felt like a right hand. You know what I mean? My jab was stiff, hard, but you know, it wasn't as snappy as it could have been. But I had a decent jab. You know, my actual boxing ability wasn't great. You know, I wasn't great. I wasn't great on the back foot. I must admit. You know, I wasn't a stick and move merchant. You know what I mean? I wasn't the best at boxing on the back foot. But like I said, when my jab landed, you knew about it.
Okay. Tell me about the three biggest fights of your career from your point of view. If you were to look back in your whole career, what would be the three main fights that come to mind?
The three main fights. That's a good one. You know, you put me on the spot there. I mean, my three main fights. I'll have to mention an amateur fight. I'll have to mention an amateur fight. You know, I was an amateur for 10 years. So I would say my finest amateur achievement was probably winning the ABA title in 1994 against a very good fighter in Stephen Bendel from Coventry. He was a multinational champion, an England international, and I beat him in the first round. You know, in a fight in which I thought was gonna be hard. You know, harder than what it turned out to be. But winning the ABA title is every amateur's dream. You know, I remember watching the ABAs as a kid in the 80s. You know, like some Nigel Benn and even Frank Bruno, watching that on BBC with Harry Carpenter doing the commentary. So it was a dream come true to actually be in the ABA final and have Harry Carpenter doing the commentary for me. So that I would say is one of my finest moments. Number two would have to be winning the British title.
Yep.
Winning the Lonsdale belt is every pro's dream.
Who was that again? Who did you? What was the fight? What was the fight? Where was the fight? Who were you fighting?
I fought a guy called Paul Samuels, who was undefeated himself. I was 13-0, and he was 15-0. A big puncher as well, from Wales, from Newbridge in Wales. It was an evenly matched fight. He was trained by the late Joe Kawasaki's father, Enzo Kawasaki. Sorry, not Enzo Kawasaki. Joe Kawasaki's father.
Yeah,
trained him. So it was live on Sky. It was on the undercard of Harry Simon defending his WBO world title. So it was a big bill to be on, and winning that British title was a dream come true. You know, it was a belt held by, you know, good fighters in the past, Harold Graham, Chris Pyatt. So winning the Lonsdale belt was a great achievement for me. You know, a dream come true.
And then what's the highlight? What was the pinnacle? What was your third best fight?
The third best fight will have to be the fight against Takaloo. That is a fight which to this day everyone talks about. You know, me and Takaloo had a big history. You know, we sparred together when we was with Jimmy Tibbs back in the day. So everyone knows about the history of our sparring, and you know, the fight was spoken about for 2 or 3 years before it happened. It was a big fight, massive fight at York Hall in 2004, and again it was touted to be an even Stevens fight, even money fight, and I scored a big knockout in the second round. And that fight is a fight which, in my whole career, people still talk about. You know, if you talk about my name, that is the fight that everyone mentions. So that would have to be, you know, in the top 3.
Brilliant. British title, European title. I mean, these are pinnacles of a lot of fighters don't get to that point, Wayne. So, you know, you ABA champion in the amateurs, you did it all in your career. Challenge for the world title as well?
Yeah, I challenged Harry Simon at short notice, 24 hours notice.
24 hours notice for a world title shot.
24 hours notice. Long story short, he had a fight in Widnes. That's where the fight was. He's supposed to defend his title in Widnes, and his opponent pulled out, couldn't make the weight. So I had a phone call the night before asking me, do I want to fight? We agreed on the purse. I had to get paid well, so we agreed on the purse. And I was in training for a title defense in a couple of weeks. So I was in decent shape, you know. So I travelled up to Widnes with a group of friends, 24 hours notice, made the weight and fought Harry Simon, undefeated world champion from Namibia. And he I would say was the best fighter I've fought, you know. He had it all: speed, power, good chin. I had him hurt in the second round, and he held the shot, and he came on and stopped me in the fifth round through experience. And I started to get a bit tired, but it was a great experience to fight Harry Simon, who retired undefeated.
But Wayne, you not reckon if you'd had a camp and you'd been able to train specifically for him and be ready for that, that style that you're going in, 24 hours is not a great amount of time, whether you were in good condition or not, but to get actually prepared for that fighter, I mean, the game plan and everything, you would have been working on that. Do you reckon if you'd had another decent shot at it with a camp, you could have done him?
I wouldn't say I would have done it, but I would have definitely given him a better fight, 100%. Yeah, I would have liked to have had a 8-week training camp, proper sparring, and being prepared a lot better. But being in the ring with him was an honour. But like you said, if I'd been given more time, perhaps I could have beaten him. I had him hurt in the second round. If I was in better shape, I probably would have or could have stopped him in that round. But I was cautious as well about lasting the 12 rounds. I didn't want to blow myself out.
So that's probably the toughest man you've been in the ring with. What an experience. Why didn't you get more? Did no other opportunities come to fight for the world title?
I had a chance to fight. My memory's gone now. To fight for the WBO title a few years later against Santos, a guy called Santos, and I was injured, so I had to pull out of that fight. And Takaloo took that fight. And lost on points, and the rest is history. If I'd been a bit more dedicated towards the end of my career, I perhaps would have got a world title shot. But I started slacking in training the last couple of years of my career. I got a bit lazy when I shouldn't have, and as you get older, injuries can reoccur a lot more. So I pulled out of a couple of fights through injury as well. So some of it is my fault as well.
Mental side of boxing, it's not easy, Wayne. Like you say, getting yourself up for those runs, getting yourself in the gym every single day as you start to get older. I'd imagine you start to feel, could do with a rest today and whatnot. How did you deal with that kind of mental side of boxing?
Yeah, it was hard. Like I said, I boxed from the age of 11. So by the time I got to my 30s, also I got disillusioned with the game. But I started to get a bit lazy. I didn't want to train as I should have. I must admit, I didn't train as hard as I should have the last 2 or 3 years, just by getting lazy. So, but I was in the game from the age of 11 years old. So it's a long time to dedicate your life. I dedicated my life to training from the age of 11, and towards the end, I got a bit, like I say, lazy, and I regret it. But like you said, I achieved my dreams. You got to be happy with what you've got, haven't you, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, the last couple of years, I didn't train like I should have. I got lazy.
No, well, like you said, a lot of fighters would dream to achieve what you've achieved in the ring. So, you went to the pinnacle of your career, you fought for world titles. That's That's impressive for an 11-year-old boy who walked into the gym with big dreams. So, you know, good for you, my friend. Good for you. You fought in Scotland. Tell me about that experience.
Yes, your hometown. I fought Joe Townsley at the Bella Houston Centre.
Not far from me.
Not far from me, now around the corner. In 2001, I think it was my first defence of the British title. It was on the undercard of Steve Robinson defending his WBO world title, and I won in 2 rounds in a fight which I thought would have been harder, but I was in very good shape for that fight. I was in tremendous.
How was the Scottish crowd when you turned up?
A bit hostile, a bit hostile. Which is expected. But once the bell goes, it's just me and Joe, isn't it? It's just me. It just a ring's a ring. So the crowd didn't really get to me. But yeah, it was hostile. You know, I never had many fans put it that way.
Did they respect you after the win?
Not really. Not really. I do remember. I do remember actually being outside the arena after the show had finished, and there was a load of them shouting out obscenities. I won't say what they were shouting, but they wasn't happy, you know. So yeah. I didn't get great treatment from the crowd, but I was just glad to win. But Glasgow itself is a nice city. I had a good time out afterwards. You know what I mean? Went to a few bars afterwards. You know what I mean? So the town and the city is a nice place.
No, absolutely. I'm sure they were all rooting for their man that night in the other corner, so that's why they were all a wee bit upset with you came and ruined the party. When look, you finished up your boxing career with 27 fights, 24 wins, 18 big knockouts. You had 3 defeats on your record. That's a pretty impressive record to have, especially the 18 knockouts, which kind of echoes that you had a lot of power in the ring. What did it feel like to retire?
You know what? Like I said to you, the last couple of years of my career, I was getting very lazy. You know, it was hard to get up in the morning and train. And I was pushing myself. I wasn't doing it because I really, really wanted to. You know, I regret it now. So when I retired from boxing, I knew that I wouldn't come back. You know, a lot of fighters when they retire, within a year or two, they're coming back. But because I didn't train so hard in my last 2 years, when I finished boxing, that was it. I didn't train at all. So to be honest with you, I must admit I didn't really struggle that badly with wanting to come back to the game. You know, like you said, I lived my dream. So you know, I was content. You know, I was content. You know, yeah. So I can't say to you that I struggled when I retired. You know, obviously you have certain regrets, didn't you? I mean, most people have regrets in life in general, don't they? So
absolutely,
I had regrets. You know, I wish I'd won the Lonsdale belt outright. I wish I'd won a world title. You know, a genuine world title, which I never. So, you know, I wasn't going to dwell on it. You know, I was happy with what I'd done, and you know, I just moved on.
Refereeing these days, well, not for a while. You haven't been because of the pandemic and whatnot. But you stayed in boxing, and you went into being a referee. Talk to me about how you got involved in it and how you enjoy it.
Yeah, refereeing is the nearest thing to fighting for me. You know what I mean? Being in the ring and, you know, watching 2 guys in action and being in charge is a great feeling. I've been doing it now for about 9 years now, 8 or 9 years, and I'm liking it a lot. You know, I've got a license with the BIBA. I also work with Queensbury Boxing League, and also I work for Scott Biz, who promotes the white collar boxing. Yeah. So you know, I work with a few promoters. I work with about 5 or 6 promoters at the moment, I was getting a lot of work. The last 3 years, I was getting quite busy. You know, my name was getting about, and I was I was quite active. Maybe every fortnight I was refereeing. And last year, from December to March, I was very, very busy. And then, as we know, the pandemic came, and which was disappointing. But we all suffered the same thing. So hopefully, the summer this year I'll be back again. Hopefully, I've got a date actually for July with Queensbury Boxing League. So hopefully, I'll be back to how I was 18 months ago.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good. Any advice? What would Wayne Alexander's advice be to a young 11-year-old Wayne Alexander, or a young teenager Wayne Alexander in amateur boxing, or a pro fighter? What would the best advice you would give them in boxing?
Best advice: stay focused, dedicate yourself, live the life. You know, it's a short career, and to just give it your best shot. You don't want to retire with any regrets. So give it your best shot. Stay focused, train hard, rest hard. That's about it, really. You know, give it your best shot.
My last couple of questions for you. Who is your greatest fighter? Who's your idol in boxing?
My idol, I've got a few. I'll give you two. Roberto Duran.
Wow, great fighter.
Stone, yeah, he's a legend. You know, he's an all-time great. You know, he was a world champion from lightweight up until super middleweight. You know, so he's definitely one of my greatest fighters. Also, I suppose the best fighter of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Wow.
He's without doubt, in many people's eyes, the best fighter of all time. You know, he had it all. But there are so many. I mean, obviously Muhammad Ali. You know, I liked him a lot. You know, Ray Leonard. You know, was another.
I watched a bit of Leonard and Hearns, a couple of their fights recently.
Yeah,
not some fights like that anymore. Not to that tempo of just constant back and forth. But they had a great mix there with Duran as well in the mix as well, and obviously Marvin Hagler, who sadly recently passed away. Those four were that was incredible.
Yeah, the Fab Four. You never see that again, will you? I remember in the 80s when I just started boxing, they was the elite world champions, and I loved watching them. You know, like you say, Hagler, may rest in peace, is also one of my best fighters. You know, I loved his style. You know, I try to copy his style. He used to turn southpaw, didn't he? He was southpaw and orthodox. I like the way he switched. I try to do it as well. I wasn't as good as him, but I've got the bald head like him as well, though. But,
yeah, you got a bald head. You definitely got a bald head.
He was an idol of mine as well. So sometimes I change as well. I would say I probably got 5 fighters who I would say are my best of all time. You know,
it's 5 pretty decent names. You've given some great names. If you were to choose one of them to fight, who would it have been?
To fight?
Yeah,
Duran, I think.
Duran.
Yeah.
You would have had to
exactly. I mean, yeah. I would try my best. You know, he's made for me, isn't he? He's in your face, so it would definitely be a war, wouldn't it? I'd probably get beat, but just to be in the ring with someone like him would be great, wouldn't it? The hands of stone, you know?
Absolutely. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, sir. You've given a real good insight into you. I mean, we could probably talk boxing all day with you, Wayne. You've been in the game for so many years, but it's been good to get a feel for your journey along the way. You've fought all over the world. You achieved amazing things in the ring. I congratulate you, and I wish you all the very best. Hopefully back in the ring refereeing soon, and stay healthy and stay safe, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me. You keep up the good work, and hopefully I'll see you one day. You never know.
Definitely. You ever get yourself to Glasgow, my friend, or ever get down your neck of the woods, we'll catch up for sure. It'll be a pleasure to meet you.
Definitely. You stay safe as well, yeah?
Take care, mate. Take care.
Bye. Bye.